Hello again and welcome back to the channel. Now today I'd like to revisit having a look at some of your images. I'm rapt that you guys support me here on the channel, and so I'd like to give a little bit back. I want you guys to have a little bit more say on the content here on the channel. So I like to show some images that you have sent in to me. Now I've got quite a few that have been left over from the last video I did, which was a little while ago now, and I'm going to show you those today. Now while I'm on the topic, if you have any images that you've taken that you would like to send in to me, just address them to the email address on the bottom of the screen that you're seeing now. I don't need large files, I don't want TIFF files, I don't need anything that's big and hard to download. Just JPEG files are fine. And I will put together another video a little bit down the track featuring those images. So in the meantime, let's get on and have a look at some of the great images that have been sent through to me. So my first image is from Gregory from Poland. And he's been watching my YouTube channel for a long time, and he took a flight 3 years ago to New Zealand with some friends. And of course, as he writes, he took his astro equipment, and it was a very good decision. I can see by this beautiful image, it was a good decision. So this is the best photo of the Milky Way that he's taken in his life up to this point. It's not possible to do anything similar in Poland, and that's because of the very dark skies in the southern hemisphere, and this in New Zealand. So his image is taken from Arthur's Pass in New Zealand on a Nikon D5300 Astro Mod. Now that's a crop sensor Nikon, not a new one by any means. Taken with a Nikon 20mm f1.8G lens, shot with the Skywatcher Star Adventurer Star Tracker. So he shot 10 2-minute exposures at ISO 1600 at f4 for the sky, and he stacked those in Deep Sky Stacker. And for the ground, or the foreground, he shot 5 2-minute exposures at ISO 2000 at f2.8, and he stacked those in Photoshop. And he did the final blending in Photoshop as well, and this is the final image. I love it. He's done a really good job of shooting and blending this scene. Fantastic work, Gregory. The next photographer is Vareth from Western Australia, and Vareth sent through quite a few images. He's quite prolific on Facebook, and he does a lot of fantastic work. This is 2 rocks. I guess there's 2 rocks out there, which is why it's called that. And it looks like it's a setting Milky Way galactic core over this rock. I don't know if it's light paint. He hasn't actually given me details of that, but looks pretty good. Don't mind that one at all. And next one, oh, this is nice. This is nice indeed. And it's a setting Milky Way galactic core over some sand dunes. And for those of you who don't live in Australia, Western Australia has some beautiful sand dunes. Also has some gorgeous rocky seascape opportunities, especially facing west, which is where this image is facing. Now, Vareth, I'm pretty sure he's using a Nikon Z6 with a 20mm f1.8 lens. And it looks like these are all shot with that. Here he is again. There's some friends there on the top of the sand dunes. Now, he has not given me any details about how many shots are in these. So, but I'm guessing this looks like a tracked sky shot with a blended foreground. There's a bit of light painting on that sand, and I love the way that those sand dunes with the shadows there on the left-hand side with the corrugations where the water's run down or the wind has blown them. Looks fantastic. Oh, here's a light painted agricultural machine, again with the Milky Way galactic core over the top. So far all of these have showed the Milky Way in that western sky. Here's another one, also with the Milky Way in the western sky. Bit hard to tell. I think it's just rocks and some bit of ground, so forth. Here's a tree. I think that might be a bit of an inlet, a bay on the ocean there. This one's good. There's no light painting, but I do like the stark silhouette. Particularly love the large and small Magellanic clouds you can see here on the left-hand side of the frame. Here's another one. This looks like a panorama over the ocean. I love the jetty. Gee, I wish I knew the settings for this because I just really enjoyed these longer panoramas. So this looks like a 20mm pano to me. And I don't know how many shots there. I'd only be guessing, but he's done a really good job of stitching that together. So love that. Here's another one. Looks like the Pinnacles, which is a pretty famous formation of rocks and sand, and I don't know what they are, but I've never been there myself, but it's a very popular spot for astrophotographers to go and shoot the night sky and landscape. And here's another one at the same location. Looks good, doesn't it? Absolutely beautiful. Oh, look at this. Now this is definitely looks like a tracked panorama. So he's got the sky tracked there, the foreground. Not sure how many shots, but there's quite a few to get that amount of real estate. And love the way he's put the lights in front of these rocks here. It looks really, really nice. Fantastic work, Vareth. Next up, we have another Australian nightscape photographer. This is Jeff Murray, and these images are taken in Tasmania. And you know, on this channel, I love Tasmania. It's one of my favorite places to go and shoot the night sky. So this first image is in the middle of winter last year in the Tasmanian highlands. It was a dead cider gum forest. And he had a particular image in mind. I love the composition of this. It's really, really nice. So he needed the right conditions with the galactic core in the right location. And it was -7 degrees Celsius when he captured this. This was taken with a Nikon Z7 Mark II and the Nikon 20mm f1.8s lens. 15-second shutter speeds, shot wide open at f1.8, ISO 6400, and he's listed the white balance at 3900 Kelvin. Multi-shot panorama. That is absolutely gorgeous. I love the silhouette of those trees. And looks like there's some aurora activity happening down the bottom there. Tasmania is one of the best places to view aurora. And you can see from this next image, this is an aurora. And as Jeff has listed here, it's recently we had one of the best Southern Light aurora events for many years. This is a multi-shot panorama from an old church in the Derwent Valley. Again, with his Nikon Z7 Mark II and the 20mm f1.8 lens, 13-second shutter speeds at f2.8, ISO 3200, once again with a white balance of 3900 Kelvin. Absolutely love this one too, Jeff. What a great, great subject. And now we go over to the beautiful country of Mexico, and this is Augustin. And this is a gorgeous composite image of various meteors in a meteor shower. Doesn't say which one, but it looks fantastic. This was shot using Canon 5D Mark IV with the 16-35 lens. That's, I presume, the Canon 16-35 f2.8 lens at 16mm. He shot these at f2.8 at 6400 ISO, 10-second shutter speeds with 5-second interval between shots. Looks like he's set the intervalometer to just keep shooting one shot after another. Between 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock by the looks of it. There's at least 2 hours worth of shots, and he's captured some beautiful images here. Fortunately, we captured several meteors and layered them together in Photoshop, arranging them to appear to come from the same point. In the end, with the light of dawn, I took a photo of the foreground with ISO 600, but I didn't know how to join it with the others, and also the camera moved a little. So he took a foreground shot, but didn't use it here because the camera moved. But in the end, he was very satisfied to see how the camera can capture the images and to be able to enjoy and remember that night through a photograph. And that is exactly how I see this whole concept of shooting nightscape photography. Very well done, Augustine. And so we travel all the way to Perth in Scotland, and Robert Dyke has sent through 2 images here. So he says here, I have only just started this wonderful journey, and I'm so looking forward to clear nights to try out new things as well as light painting. And he's recently purchased the Nikon Z6 and the 20mm f1.8 lens. So it seems to be a pretty popular combination so far. And these 2 images were taken with that. Both are single images, 15-second shutter speed at f2.2 aperture at ISO 800. So this first one is an aurora over a foreground, and the second image we can see there, a bit of lighting there. I don't know whether he's lit that himself or it was ambient lighting, I'm not sure. And that's the Milky Way. You see a bit of Milky Way action there on the horizon, and I reckon that's pretty good for Scotland because it's a long way north. But what a beautiful place to be shooting nightscape images. Really well done, Robert. And we finally make our way over to the United States, and this is taken in Colorado, USA by Terrence Huge. And what an absolutely gorgeous image this is. There's Comet Neowise there shining brightly as it did a little while ago now. So this image was taken on July the 7th, 2021. He's telling me this tree is an old gnarly weathered juniper which sits along the high south rim of the Black Canyon of the Gunnison National Park. The canyon's quite narrow relative to its depth of about 2,700 feet. This is an international dark sky park, so it offers great night photography opportunities. I can see that. Cacti, snakes and biting insects need to be avoided, otherwise the location is quiet and safe. And the rims can get pretty windy, but the evening of this photo was relatively calm. He tells me he scouted the location earlier in the day using photo pills to determine his shooting position. He's also included another image here just to give us an idea of what this looks like during it looks like a sunrise there. So to shoot this image, he used a Canon 6D with a Tamron 15-30 f2.8 lens, one sky layer at ISO 3200, 15-second shutter speed at f3.2 at 24mm focal length, 4 foreground layers with the side angle light painting, which is what I love so much about this image, ISO 500, 10-second shutter speeds at f5, processing done in Photoshop. What an absolutely awesome image, Terrence. I absolutely love that tree. And so we're back to Australia, and this is from Colin Byrne. And he has taken 2 images here. The first one, which is these Milky Way over the trees and rocks, is one single shot taken with his Canon EOS R and IRIX 15mm lens. 30-second shutter speed at f2.4 with light painting on the rocks and trees while exposing the sky, taken in Stanthorpe, Queensland. And I tell you what, I love a good rock shot. And the second image is same camera and lens and exposure settings, but this is taken in the Flinders Ranges in South Australia with a bit of torchlight on the old hut. And yeah, Flinders Ranges, what a beautiful place to visit. I think you've done a fantastic job of this. I love buildings like that, the way that it's lit. And to be honest with you, I don't mind the fact that the trees are not lit. They're just silhouetted because it draws your eye into the actual light painted hut. And of course, the Milky Way over the top is lit. So you've sort of got those 2 dual focal points in the image. And I think that's a good thing to aim for. Well done, Colin. Now, I have been looking at this image for ages. I absolutely love this one. This is from Vareth Ismail, all the way from Iraq. Vareth is using a Nikon Z6 II full-frame camera. This is also shot with a Nikon 20mm f1.8. He's got tracked sky, so he's using your Ioptron sky tracker at 120 seconds, so it's 2-minute shutter speeds, f2 at ISO 800. And it looks like he's used 8 images. 1 image of the foreground. Okay, yep, I get it now. There's 8 tracked images and 1 of the foreground shot with the same camera and lens at 1.6 seconds at f11 at ISO 100. So that's obviously a daytime foreground shot, or maybe sunset or something like that. He's processed in Photoshop, and oh look, he's done such a good job. And I don't know if that's Vareth up there modeling and posing on the top of that sand dune, but whatever the case, I love the way the color balance draws the foreground color into the sky. It's just really, really good job. I could look at this for ages. And we're back to the United States with Michael Ward's image, and this is in the Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming, USA. This is shot using a Canon 5D Mark III with a Rokinon 14mm f, he says f1.8, but I think that's an f2.8 lens. So himself, his nephew, had just set up for our first shot in the darkness with no planning. Well, it's risky when you do that, but it looks like it's paid off this time. He pushed the remote to start the 20-second image, and not 3 seconds later, a car comes over the hill and lights up the whole scene. He says here he cursed under his breath at the now ruined shot, but as the image clicked off, he saw this on the back of the camera, and he thinks the car had done a pretty good job of lighting the scene. So then they were sitting there hoping for more cars for the next couple of hours, but they never saw another one. So what a great story. And that is a good memory to have. I think memories, when you attach them, an experience like that to an image, just makes it mean all that much more. So I've done the same thing myself. I've made use of a light from a passing car on different occasions. And I think, Michael, you've done a fantastic job with this image. Well done. Okay, well, what a treat this is. We've got some images here from a place called Svalbard. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It's in the middle of nowhere, northwest of Norway. And this is from Trond Olav Holmen. And this is where he lives. So this is Longyearbyen. I can't pronounce it. Longyearbyen, I think. Anyway, it's a great image, and there's some nice stormy clouds there, but it looks like a bit of moonlight happening. But have a look at these aurora shots. Now this one, I really like this one. He's done some light painting on this old bridge leading to the mountain, and then there's an aurora starting to happen over there. I'm guessing there's lots of auroras in that location. Once again, Trond is using the Nikon Z6 with the 20mm f1.8Z mount lens. One single shot of the sky at 15 seconds, f2.8 at ISO 3200. The foreground shot is 5 15-second exposures at f5.6 at ISO 500. And he says, I am very happy with the result, even though he thinks the focus was not 100%, but it's something always to learn. Well, the focus doesn't look too bad to me, and I love that image, but have a look at these. Look at these beautiful aurora images. Now I'm thinking, it doesn't say here, but I'm guessing these are all just single exposures. Oh yes, here it is. The natural light source is the moon. Yep. So these are just ambient shots, but isn't that just gorgeous? Look at the curtain of light. Oh man, these are exceptional. Absolutely love them. And now we find ourselves over in Canada, and this is from Shawn Cunningham. This image of Sandcut Beach in British Columbia was my first pano nightscape after studying my videos. I used an LED light with a warming filter on a stand to light the small waterfall. So he's using low level lighting. ISO of 800, 30-second shutter speeds at f6.3. He shot 5 verticals, and these are shot at 35mm focal length. Now I can't see what camera lens Shawn's using here, but it doesn't matter. So then he took the light, turned the light off, and took 5 vertical shots at 8-second shutter speeds at f1.4. And then it's of the sky, and so he shot 2 separate panos, one of the foreground, one of the sky. Then the 2 images were combined in Photoshop, and as he says here, he's no genius in Photoshop, but was reasonably satisfied with the final image. He says it looks a bit rough, but I tell you what, it really looks good to me. I love the way that waterfall is just sparkling out, but I really love the texture on the sand on the beach. And of course, the Milky Way galactic core there, moving across the horizon. I think this image has been really well captured, Shawn. Great effort. Now we come to our final image in this particular video, but I tell you what, I've saved this one to the last because I absolutely love this. This is right down my alley. And this picture is by Barry Ashenhurst, another Australian. So this is shot with a Sony A7 with a 40-year-old manual Nikon 28mm lens. So he's got a 28, a 50 and a 100mm, all from the 1980s. And I love them, he says. So how about that? So he got close to the subject. He's shooting at f11. Okay, so the Sony produces a nice file, but the thing does weird things, he says, like cycling through the entire menu for no apparent reason. Don't know about that. Anyway, he's used a LED lens, a P7 torch to do the lighting on this. He's talking about wandering around in the long grass at night. Now, this is in Australia. We have a lot of long grass at night. I'm not sure what time of year it was. He says he normally takes his border collie everywhere, but not this night, because there could have been red belly black snakes or brown snakes around, holed up under the Vauxhall. So this is a Vauxhall car. Snakes, look, they're overrated. I don't see too many snakes out there in the middle of the night. He's very grateful for my instruction on how to do the light painting. Well, I'll tell you what, Barry, you have done an exceptional job with this. Now, he hasn't told me the exposure settings, really, except it looks like it was f11. So it must have been a pretty long shutter speed, but there's no stars in the sky, so you can basically shoot whatever shutter speed you want. But I just love this type of image. And the way that Barry's lit this, because there's a lot of rust along the side of the car, it really makes the features of the car, even that rust and the various parts along the side there stand out very well. Yep, this is a fantastic image to finish up on. So there you have it, some absolutely amazing images sent through from viewers of this channel. I'm always blown away by the quality and the commitment that you guys show to your Nightscape photography. So please keep it up. Send me through some more files. Those of you out there, I know there's plenty of you out there taking some amazing Nightscape photography. Anyway, until I see you in the next video, you have a fantastic week. Get out there under the stars and shoot some awesome images. I'll see you later.